All right, all right. All good?
Yep.
Well, hey guys, welcome to BridgeCom University Live. My name is Ron. My call sign is KC0QVT. And I'm so glad you're joining us today. I want to welcome you. It's 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. We're located in Smithville, Missouri in the Midwest, about 15 miles north of Kansas City at BridgeCom Systems headquarters. Anyway, today I want to take a bit of time and I want to walk you through the simple process of you taking your brand new AnyTone 878HT out of the box and programming it up to talk on a local DMR repeater. I'm going to take you step by step of what you need to do. Now, we recently did a video about a week ago, and it's on YouTube, that I install the CPS, which is the customer programming software for working with the AnyTone. That is a YouTube video. So I've got the CPS already set up on this $100 tablet computer. At least it was $100 when I bought it on Amazon a little while ago. But it's running Windows 10, and we're going to be jumping in and out of that computer as I walk you through this process. So anyway, my goal here is I want you guys successful. I want you guys successful with your radios. I want you guys to know that we're behind you and we're here to help you guys get successful. So this is an effort to do that. I want you guys to know how to program your radio. I mean, this is a very deep dive. I mean, this radio will open up through these networks that are created by a lot of our friends in the amateur radio community. It opens up a whole new world. Okay, you guys will be able to talk all over the world with one of these radios, if you know, and I'm going to get you started on that. So anyway, the first thing that, and I'm going to go back to the basics, okay, but the first thing that you want to do is you're going to need a DMR ID, okay? You first of all, hopefully you have an amateur radio license, but you're going to need a DMR ID. So the first step in this journey is a DMR ID. Okay, and now you're probably going to want to know, well, where do I get that? Well, you go to a website called radioid.net. And there's a guy there named Glenn. He's an awesome fella. And you submit your credentials, basically your proof that you have an amateur radio call sign, and he will issue you a DMR ID. Okay, so that's the first step. So what I'm going to do is I already got a DMR ID, but we need to go get that. So I'm going to jump into the computer here real quick, and I'm going to take you to that website, and I am going to go look up my DMR ID because I'm going to use that when I do this demonstration for you guys. So I'm going to go to radioid.net, and this will pull up this website. All right, can folks see that? Okay, excellent. All right, so over here on the left is the database. Hopefully you can see my cursor, but I'm hovering over the database, and then you've got this register. Now, if you don't have a DMR ID, you want to go to the register section and then follow his instructions. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do, because I don't have this committed to memory, is I'm going to click database, and over here you're going to see DMR user ID search. And I'm going to click this. All right, and this is going to pull up a bunch of fields that you can go and find. You're going to search for your a DMR ID, and this is where you can say, hey, does anybody have a DMR ID that I might know? So, and this also can help validate whether or not you have one. So I'm going to type in my call sign, which I've already done. As you can see, it's popping up. Whoops, KC0QVT, and I'm going to do a search. Okay. All right, there I am. So my DMR ID is 312-9172. And by the way, folks, all this information is public domain. I mean, anybody can go out and look at it. So this is my DMR ID. Do not use my DMR ID. This is mine. Go get your own. So, but by way of example, I'm going to use that. But this is critical that you have this number so that we can get you guys set up. Okay, but mine's 312-9172. Okay, and that identifies me to the whole world. And further down the road, as we get into this, and probably in another live stream, this becomes valuable because it ties you to your call sign and various things that will pop up on a radio. If you make a QSO with somebody, they'll be able to say, that's Ron, he's in Smithville, Missouri, and his call sign is KC0QVT. So it provides that intelligence that goes along with making a QSO. Okay, so now we know the DMR ID. Okay, so I found that. Now, the next step is to find a local repeater. Okay, so we're going to find a local DMR repeater. Okay, now the best resource that I'm aware of to do this is a website called repeaterbook.com. Okay, now I'm going to go to that website here in a moment, but you really just need to know where you're located as far as in maybe proximity to some higher populated areas. Like we're just north of Kansas City, Missouri, so there's a high probability that there's going to be a DMR repeater somewhere. And then also, of course, you've got access to, if you're in a club, you may know that club might have a DMR repeater or a neighbor that might have a repeater. So I'm going to now shift to that website. Okay, and I've typed it in before here. So I'm going to go to repeaterbook.com, and I'm also going to I'm going to type in my town, which is Smithville, Missouri. So I can pull up Google Maps. Okay. All right, this is going to give me kind of an idea of where we're located as far as looking at it with respect to potential repeater sites. Okay. Now, like I said, we're about 15 miles north of the metro, so I'm going to focus my attention on Kansas City. We're not that far. These radios have a lot of power. We can set them for low power, medium power, high power, and even turbo power, which I think on UHF is 6 watts. Okay, so I'm going to just, by way of looking at where things go, I can get an idea of how many miles. So this is a scale of 2 miles. So I'm going to try to focus in, probably within a 10 to 15 mile radius of where I'm at. So back to the repeater book, I'm going to look at repeaters in North America over here, which is going to pop up a map of the United States. Okay. Again, depending on where you're located, I'm going to focus on Missouri because I want to talk on a local repeater, because this local repeater is going to be my gateway into the world. Okay. Okay, so the repeater book is awesome in that you can start dividing your selection by band, features, link systems, emergency services, great resources. And then of course you've got repeaters by nearest city or town. So I'm going to look at Kansas City because it's a big metro and it has a high probability of me finding a repeater that's in close to my area. Okay, now when you're looking at these repeaters, you know that your AnyTone is UHF, VHF, 2 meter for 70 centimeters. So you're not interested in 6 meter repeaters or anything like that, and 220 in this case. So you've got some 2 meter repeaters here. You've got a lot of 440 repeaters. There's a lot of analog repeaters. And you'll know that by when you look at the tone in, tone out. And this is what I want you to focus on when you're looking at this. For a digital repeater, you're going to see this, what says CC, and then a number followed behind that. That stands for color code. Okay, that means that this is a digital repeater. This is a DMR repeater more specifically. Okay, so as I look through this list, I see this one down here that says KCI Airport. Okay, I know that the airport's about probably 11 to 12 miles west of where I'm located. So I'm going to select that. So it's in Platte County. Okay, so it's on 4 444.4625. So you want to find the repeater right here, and then you want to figure out your transmit, your receive, your color code, and your time slot. Okay. Transmit and receive, you guys all know what that is. That's the repeater's transmit and receive frequency. Color code is very important. Without the proper color code, you're not going to get into the repeater. And the best analogy that I've found for a color code is what's normally known as a PL tone, or a private line, or a CTCSS tone. It's very similar to that concept. It's a squelch mechanism, but it's built into the digital protocol. TS stands for time slot, okay? DMR, and I'm not going to get into the details of this, but basically you can have two conversations going on one channel, and they're occupied by what's called a time slot. And you have either time slot 1 or time slot 2. And this is very important as you consider a repeater you want to go talk through. And I'm going to explain why here in a moment, because when you go to repeater book, you can select that actual repeater. In this case, it's 444.4625. And it's going to pull up some credentials about the repeater. Okay, it's going to kind of show you where its location, and it's going to tell you who, where it's going. It's in the backyard repeater group is the network. It's on the air. It's affiliated with the BrandMeister network. And it says here, use time slot 1 for all other BrandMeister talk groups, and it says see BridgeCom or BYRG website for talk group assignments. And then of course a website link. So there's a lot of information about the repeater. Now I want to stress this, okay, these repeaters are private property for the most part. Most of these repeaters are owned by somebody or a group of folks. So it's not, they're not public in terms of owned by the public. They're owned by a private group. So you need to really respect the wishes of the system operators or the trustees of these repeaters. And what they request is that you use time slot 1 for all BrandMeister talk groups. Okay. So what that means is when we want to do something, we want to be on time slot 1. We don't want to use time slot 2. That's what they ask. Okay. And of course you can go to this website and they'll probably tell you what the proper etiquette for that, those repeaters. I'm going to answer these questions as you guys are putting them in. After I get done with my setting this up, I just focus on with what's going on here, because there'll be time for questions and stuff in a moment. But anyway, yeah, very, very, very important to be mindful of the etiquette for that repeater, because they are private property, okay? And they're very, most of these folks are very gracious to let you use it. Okay, so we now know the repeater, transmit, and receive pair that we're going to use, okay? And we know we're going to use time slot 1, and the one detail is the color code is going to be 4 in this case, which is very important. So we got transmit of, the repeater is going to be transmitting on 444.4625, and it's going to be receiving on 449.4625. Now, that's what the repeater wants, or it sees. The radio, you flip that, okay? Very important, you want to flip that. So the radio that is set up is going to transmit on 449.4625 and receive on 444.4625. Okay, so now that we've established the credentials of the repeater that we want to try to hit, okay, and again, this is the experiment. You want to do this for, if you're going to try to hit a repeater in your area, that's what you want to look for. Okay, so now we're going to look for that machine. So now the next step is we want to take the brand new radio, okay, and I've already put the antenna on it. I'm going to turn it on, okay, and I'm going to just show you what comes up. Okay, I'm going to have my camera guy, Joe, zoom in on this thing. Okay, this is a brand new radio. Okay, you're going to see that it's it's got calibrate date. Okay, you just want to confirm this right now. Okay, so I'm going to confirm that, and then it's going to go through its startup sequence, and it should display the default profile that basically it's the factory settings. Okay, so now that I've got this repeater, okay, one real quick thing I'm going to do after you see the display going off after. I'm going to fix that. I don't like the fact the display goes off all the time after you touch it. It's called a light time. I'll fix that so that it goes up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the radio and I'm going to put the programming cable in that you got with the radio. I've got it set up into the tablet computer. Okay. I've got a USB breakout. The tablet computer has one USB port, but I need more than one because I wanted to hook my mouse up to the tablet. Okay, so we've got that hooked up. So now I'm going to close this window or shrink it. I've already installed the CPS on the tablet computer, and again, it was done in a video about a week ago where I show you how to install all that and read from the radio. So I'm going to activate that. Now what I do is I right-click on it to bring up this pop-up menu. I right-click with my mouse, and I want to run this program as administrator. Okay, so do you want to blah, blah, blah? Yeah, yes, I do. Okay, so this is going to start this program. Okay, this is your CPS. I'm running version 1.19 because that's that's the firmware that's in the radio when it came out of the box. I'm not going to do a firmware update right now. It's not necessary for this purpose. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to read the radio. Okay, so I want to set the COM. Okay, I know I'm on COM 3, so I'm going to set the COM to COM 3, and then I'm going to go up here to program, and I'm going to read from radio. I lost my. Looks like my cursor is not moving with this program. Okay, anyway, follow along with me if you can. I'm going to read from the radio, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, this read write objects comes up. There's a digital contact list and other data. I don't have a digital contact list in this radio, so I'm going to ignore that right now, and I'm just going to click OK. Okay, so it is talking to the radio, and it read it. Everything's great. All right. Okay. All right, now this is where this information we just gathered is going to become important. Okay, so I've got my DMR ID at radioid.net, and I know it's that number. So what do you do with that number? Okay, well, you want to go down here and try to follow along with me. I see that the cursor is not, that highlight of my cursor is not following me. I wonder if I was to. I don't know. I can't get it back. Okay, never mind. Okay, so let's I've got a point, I got an arrow here. So I want to go down here to where it says digital, and I want to expand that node. Okay, what you see here is very similar to Microsoft Explorer in terms of how it looks. So I want to click on Radio ID list. Okay, this is where you're going to put your DMR ID. So I'm going to left double click on Radio ID, that field, and it's going to populate and say Radio ID name. So I'm going to put in this field 3129172 because that's me. And then this is where you can put an alpha tag to it. So I am going to put KC0QVT in my name. I'm Ron. Okay, and I'm going to click OK. All right, so now that's me. I'm in the radio, and that's what you want to do. Okay, so now that I've made the radio my own, I want to I want to add what are called talk groups. Now, I'm going to shift gears here real quick and take a moment and talk to you about what talk groups are. Talk groups are the these are the rooms, if you will, that where you want to talk to people. So the whole DMR networking system is built around groups. You've got group, like Missouri statewide will have a group number. Worldwide will have a group number. Every state in the United States has a group number. The actual North America has a group number. Every country in the world has been assigned a group number. Various sub-regions have a group number, like you'll have, and I'm going to show you a list where you can go find all these groups here in a moment. But this is effectively the telephone number, if you will, to cause your radio to know where to talk to somebody. Now, the first step we're going to go out and find. I've selected 4 groups, okay, that I want to check out first that I think are going to test this and show you what's going on. So you might want to ask, well, where do I find these group numbers? Okay, so we're going to go back out to the internet, and I'm going to open up a new tab. And I'm gonna just this is what you can do. You can just type in the Google search bar. You can, what are the DMR group numbers, or DMR talk group numbers on BrandMeister. Now, BrandMeister is a massive network, a worldwide network. There's a lot of networks out there. We're just going to focus on this one. Okay, and this is going to bring up a search. Okay, right at the top here, you're going to see BrandMeister talk group list from a website called pistar.uk. Okay, this is where you're going to get excited about what you can do with this stuff. Okay, when you get a chance, just go through this list and just see all the various talk groups that are available to you as a amateur radio operator. I mean, you can make contacts to people all over the world. There's a talk group associated with it. These guys have set up these links to talk everywhere, and they've provided these alpha tags so that you know where to go. Like, for example, we can just by way, Denmark, talk group 238, we could make a QSO into Denmark. Puerto Rico, talk to a group of people down there that might be monitoring. Israel. Just go through this list and see what's available. It's pretty impressive. And so what's important about this is that number, that talk group number, because we're going to build a talk group list in our radio from scratch. But I'm only going to include 4 of them, and I'm going to really quick detail I'm going to go ahead and erase this. And by the way, this is all being recorded, so you guys can go back and watch this. So you want number 3, find your talk group number. Okay, so I'm interested in, and this is where, you need to go and hit what's called the parrot first. The parrot is going to tell you if you hit the repeater. Because what will happen is when you hit the parrot, it's going to come back to you and say, oh, I've got the thing set up, I've verified my radio on mutes and stuff. So what is the parrot's talk group number? Okay, well, from this sheet here, I can go in and look, and I'll just type in parrot on a find. Whoops. Let's see, parrot. Okay, parrot is talk group 9990. Now, one important aspect of this is when you do a parrot, it's a private call, and I'm going to show you what that means here in a moment. Okay, because that's important. You don't want to make there's 2 different types of calls. There's a private call and a group call. Okay, now the next important talk group that you're going to want to know is what's called a disconnect. Okay, talk group disconnect, and there's going to be 1 for each time slot. Okay, so you want to talk, in this case we want to talk group disconnect for time slot 1. Okay, so if I was to go in here and just type in disconnect, right there, that's 4,000. So that's going to be 4,000, and that is a group call. So I'm going to type in GC. Okay, the next ones I want to do, in my experience, I've always been able to seem like there's always somebody on in Texas. And then worldwide always has somebody on it. Okay, now what's the talk group for Texas? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type in Texas. Texas's talk group is 3148. And this is a master list here. And then what is worldwide? 91. Okay. These numbers are very important, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the CPS and we're going to go to this over here on the left where it says digital, then it goes radio ID list, and then talk groups, okay? Now, see, there's a default profile there, so I'm going to type in, I'm going to name this one KCI, because that's where I'm going through is the KCI repeater at the airport, KCI Parrot. Okay, now keep in mind, it's not a group call. You put in group call, it's not going to come back to you. You won't hit the parrot. You need to make sure the parrot is a private call. I made that mistake and I sat there and wondered why can't I hear anything? Okay, it's got to be a private call or it won't work. So you want to type in 9990. Remember? 9990. That's a 9 there. Okay, that's a private call. So I'm going to set that up. Call alert, I'm going to leave that to none. Okay, at least one group call content. Okay. All right, I'll put the parrot. Apparently it's giving me some grief on that. I'll put the worldwide first. I'll put worldwide. That's going to be a group call. We'll put parrot in next. So this is 91. Remember? 91. We'll put the worldwide talk group. Okay, it likes me. All right, now let's go ahead and put the parrot in. Okay, so this is going to be KCI parrot. This is a private call, remember? Private call. All call. Let's see. Nope. Private call. And that is 9990. All right, likes me. So we got 9990 and we got 91. Now, let's add Texas. So I'm going to do KCI Texas. This is a group call, and its talk group number is 3148. So 3148. And then we're going to do the disconnect, because here's why you need a disconnect. When you're done, when you raise up a repeater, the repeater will give you, depending on how they've set it up in the system operator set up his repeater, the repeater will begin feeding audio through the web into the repeater for a certain length of time. Okay, so when you access a repeater, you're telling the network, hey, start sending audio my way. Well, what happens is when you send a disconnect, you tell the system, I'm done talking, shut it off, let it make the system available to somebody else. So having a talk group disconnect for every repeater that you want to talk to is extremely important. And also the system operators will like you more, because you're going to free up resources, okay? And resource management on a repeater is key, especially if it's extremely busy. So if you leave the repeater set up to where you don't disconnect from it after you're done having your QSO, it's still going to pipe in audio, especially if it's extremely busy. Okay, so you definitely want to try to, you want to have this disconnect built into your channels, and especially for each repeater that you do. Okay, so moving right along, so I'm going to add the disconnect. So I'm going to call it KCI. Whoops. KCI disk, time slot 1. Remember, it's time slot because you have to have the time slot. All right. So this is going to be 4,000. Remember? 4,000. We looked that up, remember? Okay. So now we have 4 talk groups. So now what we want to do is we want to go create our channels. Okay. All right. So going up here where it says public, you want the channel list. Now, I read the radio. This is what comes out of your radio when you first get it. I'm going to delete all these because I don't want any of these in here. This is just default information that is built into the radio upon reset or initialization. Okay, so I've cleaned the slate. The slate is clean. We can now start populating channels. Okay, so I'm going to create my first channel. Now, you have the opportunity to put what's called an alpha tag. So the first one I want to do is the KCI parrot. So I'm going to put KCI parrot. Okay, and I know that that receive frequency, well, I got it. If we remember over here, I'm going to write it here. It's going to be 4625. This is the rate from the radio going into the repeater. And the transmit is 4494625. Okay. All right, and then I'm also going to remind you guys, okay, the color code is 4 and the time slot is 1. So that's what you need to know. Okay, so 444-4625, tab down, 449-4625. Okay, now look, it's a digital. I'm going to let the transmit power is high, bandwidth's 12.5 kilohertz. Treat TX permit always, scan list none. I'm going to leave all that stuff alone. DMR mode needs to be set for repeater. Okay. Now, going down here to the contacts. See, here's those contacts I just entered. I'm going to the parrot on this one. So I set up for the parrot. My radio ID is the one that I selected, which is my 312, whatever we put in. So you want to make sure that my color code, very important right here, folks. Color code 4. Here's your slot, time slot 1. You got slot 1, slot 2. This repeater, the trustees want us on time slot 1. Okay? And all this stuff down here, some of this analog stuff we're not interested in. Encryption, yeah, we ain't going to fool with any of that stuff. So here, I've created a channel. One channel's in the system. Now what I can do is I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste. I got another one because I'm going to talk the same repeater. The only thing I'm going to change is I'm now going to change it to a different talk group. So let's put in KCI Texas. Color code's 4, slots 1. Bam, done. Got another channel. Let's paste another one. Okay. I'm now going to change the contact. Now I want to go to worldwide. It's a group call. Okay. All right, now I'm going to paste another one for the disconnect. All right, now I'm going to expand it. I just caught something here I'm going to have to fix. But here I am changing the, yeah, you left a left double click. Okay, I just realized I do need to change the channel name of the alpha tag. So this is KCI disconnect TS1 for time slot 1, so that's okay. And then I need to go up here and change these. I made a mistake there. This is going to be KCI worldwide and KCI Texas. All right, now I've got 4 channels in the radio. Yeah, it's Kansas City International. It's actually the airport code for it, where we are is MCI, but nobody knows what MCI is. It's just, but it is KC. Okay, so I've got 4 channels. Okay, so the next step is extremely important because you don't want to go right into your radio at this point. You have to create a zone. Okay, so now that I don't know if you guys can see this, but now you want to create a zone. What is a zone? A zone is nothing more than a group of talk groups that you created in your radio. So in this case, I've created a zone for test purposes, or I could create a zone for Kansas City repeaters. I could create a zone of channels for the state of Missouri. There's a lot of talk groups that are in Missouri, so I could have created a zone for that. So in this case, but you have to create a zone. You have to have a minimum of one zone. So I clicked on the I clicked on zone to bring up this field. And as you can see, there's no zones yet. So I want to left double click and I want to call this KCI. Let's see what happened. KCI repeater. I'll just put repeater zone. All right, now I want to add these channels to the zone. So I'm going to do that. I got all these channels in the zone. Now they're all in there. It's all good. I'm going to click OK. All right. The channels have been added to the zone, or the channels have been created, and they've been added to the zone. So to review, I found my DMR ID. I've got one. That's the first step in this whole journey, is you got to have a DMR ID. I now know what it is. Okay, I need to know what a repeater I can talk through, because that's what we're doing. We're talking through repeaters at this point. So I found the repeater that I think is local to me. I got the transmit receive frequency. I know what the color code is. I now know what the time slot they want me to be on. I've found some talk groups that I want to use. Okay, the first one you want is the parrot. You got to try the parrot. If you don't hit the parrot, it doesn't matter. The thing doesn't work. You can't hit the parrot, but every DMR repeater that's connected to any network has that parrot, and the contact on that one is 9900. So I've identified contacts for every repeater, or I'm sorry, for every group that's out there. I got a number for that. I know what time slot they want me on. And I now know where to go find all this. I know go to radioid.net to find my DMR ID or get one. I know I can go to repeaterbook.com and find a repeater. I then now know I can go to this pistar.uk website and find all these talk group numbers to build this code plug. Okay, so the next step, and this is a couple of housekeeping things that I want to add to this, but there's a thing over here called optional setting. This is where you really start customizing your radio to how you like it. Okay, like for example, how do you want this personality of the radio to be, like where you are, like how you want it to work. Okay, so the one I want to have is I'm just a couple of things. I want to click on this work mode tab, and the only one I want to deal with right now is this thing at the top called display mode. Right now, because the radio is set up to just display the frequency, as you can see, I don't want that. I want the alpha tags to be displayed, so I'm going to click that on channel. And that's the only thing I'm going to do on this field for now. Then the second thing I want to do is go to this alert tone page, and I want to change a couple of things. I want to change the call tone to be digital and analog, okay? And then I want to go down here and I want to modify this call tone so that when I PTT the radio and I gain access to the repeater, I want to hear a talk permit tone. I don't like the fact that I can, did I squeeze the PTT button, did I get the channel? Well, I don't know, unless I have this talk permit tone. So I'm going to change that, and I'm just going to quickly flavor this up and put in a sequence of tones that was introduced to me that I like. And what this is going to do is give you a nice, warm, hey, I got the channel, I can talk. So that's all I'm going to do here, and that should allow for me to know that I got the channel. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write this, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to program, I'm going to write to radio. Digital contact list, I don't have that in there yet. That's another live stream. Okay, I'm just bearing in mind, we're just trying to get on a local repeater, basic stuff. Okay, it's talking to the radio. Excellent. All right. And the radio, I'm going to disconnect the plug, the booting, please wait. AnyTone, the AnyTone. All right. Excellent. Okay. What you're going to see upon startup is those alpha tags I just put in the radio. Okay. And oh, let me real quick. I'm going to change the light time. I do not like, I'm just going radio set, light time, always. I don't want this thing turning off in this thing. And by the way, these radios, they have some of the best battery life around. You could leave this thing on with the light on and I've seen them run for a day, easy, and hardly even nip on the battery. Okay, so this is not going to go off. Okay, there's a lot of information on this screen that is very important. Okay, you can see that I've defaulted to the KC repeater zone, which is the one I just put in there. I am on channel 1, which is the parrot. I'm on a digital channel. Up here in the upper right corner, it says C04. That stands for color code 4, and the H over here stands for high power. And this has got two different. You got two different channels on this display, and I'm not going to burden you with trying to traverse through those, but you can change your channel. There's Texas we put in, there's the worldwide, there's the talk group disconnect, and then back to the parrot, so it goes around in the circle. All right, my battery indicator, it says I got 2 bars, which is plenty of power, and I got high power. Okay, so the moment of truth is I'm going to try to hit this parrot on high power and see if I can raise this repeater. So and keep in mind, I'm licensed, and this is for demonstrations by training. I want to train you guys on this. So, okay, you heard the talk permit tone, KC0QVT. So we should hear my voice come back.
Okay, you heard the talk permit tone, okay. KC0QVT.
That's it. I hit the repeater. You couldn't ask for anything better, folks. I mean, I now know that I got into the repeater. And that repeater is somewhere it's probably 12 to 15 miles away. Okay, so KC0QVT, just doing it one more time. Radio service test. Maybe right here.
KC0QVT, just doing it one more time. Radio service test.
Okay, folks, this is a major milestone. If you can hit the repeater through the parrot, you've opened the gateway, okay? You've opened the gateway to the rest of the world. Now, I'm going to make effort to talk to somebody in Texas. And keep in mind on that parrot, that was a private call. It must be a private call or it won't work. And the rest of them are group calls. Okay, so I'm on Texas. I'm going to see if I can raise somebody up in Texas. KC0QVT monitoring Texas statewide. Anybody copy? Usually Texas. And again, sometimes folks, it might be that there's nobody monitoring for whatever reason. I chose Texas because I was a high probability of, it looks like I'm receiving something. I wonder if I got that. Let's see. It might be busy. KC0QVT, I'm just hitting the parrot one more time.
KC0QVT, I'm just hitting the parrot one.
So it sounds digital. KC0QVT monitoring Texas statewide. All right, I don't hear anybody, but let's try worldwide. Oops, I'm sorry, I need to do something real quick. I need to disconnect from that talk group. So that's what the disconnect is for. So I'm gonna hit the disconnect to tell the repeater that I'm done on that talk group. So it should come back and say not linked. Okay, so I've told the repeater to, you know, we're done there. So now I want to go talk to Texas State or Worldwide. So let's. I'm having trouble hitting the repeater now. It might be it's busy. Okay. Well, it's not letting me. Okay. I have a feeling. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Well, anyway, I can tell you that what's happening here is you should be able to get the repeaters. All right. Well, anyway, what I've shown you is how you get on a repeater, okay? And it does work. And if you're having problems, then there's something either with the network that's going on or there's something's happened. For some reason, I'm not getting into the repeater anymore to try to raise up a talk group. I am on the correct time slot. I'm on Worldwide, or I'm on the Parrot or Texas. This is KC0QVT monitoring Texas statewide. Anybody copy? Okay.
Yeah, I copy. This is for VDO, Orlando, Florida.
Oh, Orlando, Florida's on. Hey, this is Ron, KC0QVT in Smithville, Missouri. I didn't catch your call sign. What was it again, sir? Oh.
Not too close.
Okay. KC0QVT, can you repeat that? I don't know if I'm just got bad reception in here or what. Let's see.
K4 VVO, Kilo 4, Victor, Delta, Oscar, out of Orlando, Florida.
K4 VDO. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for the comeback. Appreciate it. Kilo 4, Victor, Delta, Oscar. It's awesome to meet you. My name's Ron, KC0QVT. Hey, have a great day.
Video clear.
All right. Okay. Anyway,
Kilo Delta 2, X-ray Delta.
Anyway, I'm gonna get one thing when you're done on these channels is you wanna hit your disconnect. Okay. Okay. That's gonna bring down the repeater. Okay, so I've now released the repeater so that it won't be feeding in anything from Texas. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, when you're doing stuff like this, it can be challenging. You're kind of like, hey, did I hit the repeater, or what's going on? So there are some challenges. but as you can see, we got into Texas, and I'm not certain whether or not I'm having some range. You know, if I mean, I'm hitting it with high power, but I noticed that there was a little bit of receive. So some what you call digital noise. It wasn't coming in 100% clear, but that is how you set up a repeater. Okay, to your radio to talk on a repeater. And again, we're doing this live, folks, so you get everything. So I've got the radio set up. I've gone through. I did hit the repeater, color code, time slot, the disconnect. You found your talk groups. You created your zones, and you got your radio set up in a very basic form. So just opening up the floor for some questions. I'll try to do what I can. And we've got. I've got a screen here. Can you show how to scan among several talk groups on both the radio and using a hotspot? The way to scan on a repeater amongst your talk groups or any talk group is there's a thing called talker alias, and that will allow for your radio to unmute on any talk group that is that comes across on that channel that you're monitoring. And I believe that's somewhere in optional settings in a key function, and just by way of short key, I think you can go down here and I believe I'm trying to think. I know that it's a button you can check. I think it might be monitor or digital monitor. That's it right there. Digital monitor. If you turn that on, that turns on it traverses through your time slot talker alias. And that's how, and you can program a button that you can turn that on and off, or you can cycle through time slot 1, time slot 2, or off or both on. So it's digital monitor. Okay, how do you know you're receiving something? By looking at the handset. You can know you're receiving somebody because you got this antenna icon up here in the upper, what would be upper left corner. You're going to see that signal strength indicator, go higher if you see your call come in. So I was looking at that and I saw that it looked like the repeater was trying to get me, but I wasn't unmuting, which gave me some concern. And then eventually my radio unmuted. So I don't know what was going on there, but I did end up getting the call to come in. But yeah, you can look at your signal strength indicator on your radio. Okay, does that repeater allow worldwide? Yes, it does. You can get on the worldwide talk group with that particular repeater. Especially on time slot 1. And that's another thing you might want to ask your system operator. There's several different networks available. You got the BrandMeister network. You've got, I think TGIF is one. There's a lot of private networks out there. The DMR Mark, I don't know if there's a bunch of repeaters that are motor turbo linked that are available, and they're kind of closed systems. So you might want to check with those folks about working with them. So it just depends on the system operator if they've allowed worldwide, because worldwide is very busy. And once you open up that channel, the repeaters, it'll just send it out. And in fact, I could try to do that real quick. Trying to access it. KC0QVT. I got in, so that should cause audio traffic to flow. Okay, but anyway, can I connect my hotspot? Yeah. As far as like somebody's asked, can I connect my hotspot to my phone wirelessly? Yes, you can.
The AG4Z.
Yeah.